Hey, what ya? Have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with an expanded...
David, I will put a bolt round so far up your rectum that you will taste it as it exits your skull.
Yeah, fair enough.
Reviewing the Final Fantasy XIV TTRPG today?
Yes, but also no. You see, I only have the starter set, which has a quick and dirty of how to play the game, a player handbook, which is rather pamphlet size, and a game master's guidebook. Both give a short of how to play. The core rulebook, called the standard rulebook, has the full information excluding the bard job, which seems to be a free download if you have the standard book for some reason. I can assume they might have just forgotten to put it in the book. Let's assume that. The starter box only has 4 classes at 3 different levels each. The Warrior, the LOL Dragoon, the Black Mage, and the White Mage. The developers of this TTRPG have said they wanted to add all the jobs, including the newest jobs from the video game, the Pictomancer and the Viper. Will they? Depends on a lot of things, but we'll see. From what people book, my boss at my casual job, have told me, there's 13 base classes: Warrior, Paladin, Knights. I don't like that they call it Paladin here in this West. White Mage, Scholar, Monk, Dragoon, Bard, Summoner, and Black Mage, and whatever else. I know my list there is 9, and I'm probably forgetting a few that were in the base A Realm Reborn. I swear I keep going over my brain trying to figure out what I'm forgetting, unless the crafting classes count. Now, like I said, I can only talk about how this game plays. I can't talk about the character creation, which is a great way to learn how a game plays. I use that to figure out how things work and how things can develop, but with this, I don't know how leveling works. I don't know how levels work. I don't know how characters are made, or if you even get any choices. So, keep all this in mind. If this works like the video game, I don't know what sort of choices you'll get. The most you really get to choose in the MMO is what you're wearing and what you look like. Abilities work in rotation with a global cooldown. You don't get to choose abilities or perks at certain levels like you at least used to in World of Warcraft. That's not a promoting of World of Warcraft. Fuck Blizzard Activision. Seriously, I haven't played a Blizzard Activision game since the Blitzchung situation. I'm still boycotting them, unlike you cowards. But that's another subject entirely. I paid $60 for the starter box at my local game store. Great place. If you're in the Panama City, Florida area, I recommend going to one of the 2 stores, Arena Comic or Comics Emporium. Both have some great positives. Take a look. But looking at the website, the standard rulebook costs $70? This book has 320 pages according to Google. The D&D 5th edition Player's Handbook has 384 pages at $60. About the same for the Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition's core rulebooks. So the FFXI VTTRPG seems a little high-priced, and it seems that the game is built around level 30, 40, and 50 ranges. Not exactly a standard level-up system, but I still don't really understand it. Now, let's talk about this box. This box comes with a bunch of dice. 6 D20s and 10 D6s. Though other reports I've read said it should come with 5 D20s and 12 D6s, which might be mistyped, or maybe I got the wrong number because they weigh the same. You know how they weigh out things in like cereal boxes and such. But these dice are red, blue, white, green, and black, with more red dice than the others and less white dice.
David, is that blue or purple?
Don't you fuck with me, you know I have trouble with those colors. This game has 2 booklets. A player book, which is mostly filled with how things are done. Let's talk about those real quick. This game obviously only uses 2 dice. The d20 is rolled for your own actions, and it also has an advantage system, which lets you roll twice and take the die you want. When you make a check, you'll roll the d20 and add your ability score in question. Damage dice, however, are all d6s. So it's kind of a weird combo of a d20 system and a dice pool system. Now, keep in mind as well that penalties do not make you roll twice and take the lower. It is you subtract from your roll and only roll once. But with all that in mind, there's also turn order. So how do you figure out turn order? Well, there is no turn order. This game goes as follows: Adventurer step, Enemy step, End of round step. Each encounter starts with surprise actions, positioning, then determining which player will make their turns in what order. It looks like this order is discussed among the group, not decided via dice. It's recommended to go with the tank first, then the DPS, then the healer. There is a threat mechanic in this game as well, but we're not touching that this time because I think it's based entirely around what attacks you're doing or what healing you're doing. Now, when fighting, you will have multiple actions to take: a primary action, a secondary action, and a standard movement. But you can throw the standard movement out the window for an extra secondary action if you choose. Your abilities will fall into one of these categories except the instant action, which can be used on other people's turns, including your opponent's, if certain conditions are met. Now, the ability scores, called primary attributes. There's 5 of them: strength, dexterity, vitality, intelligence, and mind, each with an abbreviation, but we're not touching that. Strength is raw power. Dexterity is your ability to navigate in dangerous environments. Vitality is how much of a hit you can take from God, but not an enemy, before going down. Intelligence is your understanding of things, and mind is your ability to read and carry yourself. Then we've got 6 secondary attributes: defense, magic defense, speed, vigilance, max HP, and max MP. These should be fairly obvious, but I need to pad the runtime of this video, so let's go over them. Defense is only applied to physical attacks. It's the number they need to beat in order to actually deal damage to you. Magic defense does the same, but only for magical attacks. Speed is measured in squares, so the diagonal issue comes in where a ball is a square. Vigilance is your ability to not get caught off guard. HP is obvious, but it is not affected by vitality, apparently, which is weird. Can't find how that's determined here. Max MP is your magic points. In most cases, it's 5, which I assume you spend to cast spells or use abilities. Of course, there's also limit breaks, a staple of the Final Fantasy series. In this game, the GM just decides when they can be used, when that comes around. Up to 3 people in a round can utilize them, falling into certain conditions. I think they're all an instant ability, which means they can be done at any point. Now, we also have the Game Master's rulebook in this box, which clarifies a lot of stuff, including resting, sleeping, and other things. Apparently, players recover MP at the end of the Adventurer step, before the enemy step kicks in. So, if you have an instant ability on the enemy turn, it'll cost the MP, and you won't gain it back before the Adventurer step. Now, the Game Master book is a lot thicker than the Player Rules book, but this book has a ton in it, because it has 3 pre-written adventures in it. One for level 30, one for level 40, and one for level 50. This book comes with several maps and map variation blocks, allowing you to make a few variations of said maps. It also comes with tokens for players, both male and female, for each class, but there's no variation in the races. The mages are Lalafell, the warriors here, and the dragoon is Elizon. These races do not seem to change anything, as the Lalafell for some reason count as medium size, despite being itty-bitty. This game is an interesting concept. From what I know about this game so far, I'll give it a mid-range 75%. It's not bad, far from, but this is starter box. It isn't that good, really. It gives a bare basics to the game, but that's not a lot. And I have a group of 4 I could play with, but what if everyone wants to be a tank class? Hell, in Shadowbringers DLC, the Dead Warriors of Darkness have a warrior and a paladin in their ranks, 2 tanks, along with the White Mage Lalafell and a bunch of others too. If this game doesn't have a true level up system, there may be an actual problem here. And then there's more as well. For example, a map is absolutely necessary for this game because everything is position based, including your attacks. Some attacks only hit an arc in front of your character, which means you should need models, not just tokens. There's a chance this game will just be preset characters, an if X then Y sort of situation. For example, say you choose the, samurai, and your GM decides the level will be 30, then you just get samurai level 30, with very little to no variations. The game basically chooses your character for you, it seems. But I'll try my best to get my hands on the core rulebook in order to make a more complete review of this game. So, shove off.